Voting is a human right. It's your chance to have your say about the way the country is run and the kind of people that you want in charge of it. The government is introducing a law called the Elections Bill, which changes the way that you can vote. You will now be required to show a form of accepted identification before you receive your ballot paper. Why is this law being introduced? The government claims that this law will strengthen our elections by stopping people from voting using someone else's name. They also claim that bringing in photo voter ID will not stop anyone else from voting. Let's look at 3 of these claims. Claim 1. Voter ID will not affect the turnout of voters.
I'm not looking to see turnout going down. I'm looking to see turnout stay high.
The government ran voter ID trials in 2018. They claim that the main reason people did not vote is that they were busy or had other commitments, and in fact, the majority of voters turned up with the right documents. Unfortunately, where voter ID has been introduced, for instance in Northern Ireland, significant numbers of voters were restricted from or deterred from voting because of the ID requirements.
It was estimated that around 25,000 people did not vote in the 2003 Northern Ireland Assembly election because they did not have the correct form of ID. It's 3.5% of the turnout of the election. Would that be an acceptable figure in the United Kingdom?
Claim 2. Voter fraud is a real issue.
Voting twice in one election is absolutely illegal. It is indeed an example of an electoral crime. There are other examples as well, bribery or impersonation, for example.
Yes, it's a real crime, but is it an actual issue? The government's own figures from the 2019 election show that only 4 cases were convicted of voter fraud out of 47 million registered voters. Far from being a widespread issue that requires new laws to combat it, voter fraud is incredibly rare. The Electoral Commission states on their website that there is no evidence of electoral fraud in the UK.
So voter ID is not there to solve a problem that we, the people, see. And the people who've admitted this are the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission say our system is straight in this country.
The government's own impact assessment of the bill estimates that this drive to protect election integrity could cost 180 million over 10 years. There are currently 9 million people not on the electoral roll. Would it not be a better use of this money to implement a voter registration drive, for instance? Claim 3. Most people have some form of ID.
98% of the people in this country have some form of identification. In fact, we're going even further to say that if there is an issue or a gap, then free identification will be issued to people who request it.
Let's look at some statistics on who is registered to vote and who currently has an ID. 1 in 4 Black and Asian people are not registered to vote, compared to a national average of 17%. Of these, 38% of Asian people and 48% of Black people do not hold one form of photo ID. 11% of the unemployed are unlikely to have the relevant ID, and 8% of disabled people do not hold a form of photo ID. The government say these groups will be given free ID from the local authority. But if you are a disabled person who has to catch a cab to their local council offices to get the free ID, it's not exactly free. Groups like disabled people, people with learning disabilities, trans and non-binary people, and Black and ethnic minority groups are the ones who raise the most alarm about voter ID laws because it could adversely impact their communities the hardest.
The government's own research again found that about 42% of the people without the ID will not take it up. Now this is really very serious. These groups are going to be disenfranchised because they don't take that up, and they'll turn up at the polling station and find themselves unable to vote. This in pursuit of 3 convictions.
If you feel that the voter ID law would hurt our democracy, there are 3 things we can all do as individuals to help oppose it. 1. Please check to make sure that you and those you are close to are registered to vote. You can do this today by visiting this website. 2. Sign our petition against the use of photo ID in elections. You can find the link to this in the description box below. 3. Check that you have the correct form of photo ID. We'll link to resources in the description on how you can do this below, including links to Shout Out UK and other videos on this subject. Don't lose your right to vote and have a say in our shared democracy. To stay informed about this issue, visit the Unlock Democracy website.